Color in photography is more than just a visual element. It is language. It shapes how we perceive reality and how we engage emotionally with the image. It plays a powerful role in expressing happiness and vitality, bringing images to life and filling them with energy. But what happens when this color is used in images that reflect violence? One of the main examples of the use of color in violent images is the colorization of this specific photo of the Holocaust. The photograph presents a young girl standing in a concentration camp uniform made of vertical stripes. Her body appears thin and rigid, shaped by deprivation and fear. The uniform immediately draws the attention of the viewer. The stripes resemble the bars of a jail, transforming clothing into a symbol of imprisonment and repression. Rather than protecting her, the uniform serves to erase individuality. The girl is looking directly at the person taking the photograph, her gaze steady, quiet, and deeply expressive. There is sorrow in her eyes, a silent lament that suggests loss, exhaustion, and resignation. This direct eye contact creates a powerful connection between the subject and the viewer. Through this gaze, the photograph becomes more than a documentation, it becomes an encounter. Her expression reflects the loss of innocence. Childhood, which should represent safety and growth, has been replaced by fear, control, and suffering. The image captures the process of dehumanization that defined the concentration camps. Prisoners were stripped of names and reduced to numbers, treated as units rather than individuals. The uniform, the posture, and the gaze together reflect this transformation from a person to an object, from a child to a prisoner. This image, whether it's viewed in black and white or in color, becomes a powerful example of how photography shapes our understanding of the Holocaust and how visual representation influences memory, emotion, and moral responsibility. In black and white, Holocaust photographs often feel distant in time. The grayscale creates a clear separation between past and present. This distance can be both a strength and a limitation. On the one hand, it frames the Holocaust as a solemn historical record, reinforcing its seriousness and emphasizing its documentary value. The image feels official, reminding viewers that what they are seeing is evidence of real events. On the other hand, this same distance can unintentionally create emotional detachment, making it easier to view the subject as a symbol of tragedy rather than as individual human beings. The absence of color also creates a sense of visual uniformity. Face blend together, clothing becomes repetitive patterns of grey, and environment loses specific detail. In the context of the Holocaust, this shameness can reflect the Nazi systematic attempt to erase individuality and reduce human beings to numbers. Prisoners were stripped of names, identities, and personal belongings. Black and white imagery visually shows this process. In this way, the media itself mirrored the dehumanization imposed upon the victims. Black and white can also feel emotionally restrained. The viewer is confronted with suffering, but in a controlled and muted way. Pain is clearly present, yet it is filtered through a visual language that feels formal and distant. For some viewers, this restraint allows space for respectful contemplation and careful reflections. For others, however, it risks turning tragedy into something overly intellectual, making it harder to emotionally connect with the reality behind the image. Despite these limitations, black and white photographs are invaluable. They are authentic historical documents captured during or immediately after the events they depict. They preserve the original context in which the Holocaust was recorded and serve as undeniable evidence against denial and forgetting. Their power lies in their rawness and in the fact that they show the past as it was first seen without later interpretation or alteration. At the same time, black and white can act as a barrier. When suffering appears only in grayscale, it can feel as though it belongs to another world, one disconnected from present reality. Once we have analyzed the black and white image, we will go through the impact that color has in this specific photograph. When a Holocaust photograph is presented in color, the effect is often immediate and unsettling. Color collapses the distance created by black and white. Suddenly, the image feels closer to the present, almost contemporary. The past no longer appears sealed behind time. Instead, it enters the viewer's world directly, demanding attention and engagement. Color restores physical reality. Skin tones reveal malnutrition, illness, and exhaustion. Bruises, redness, and wounds become unmistakable. Clothing gains texture and weight, reminding viewers that these were real garments worn daily under extreme conditions. Even the environment becomes more tangible. Walls, dirt, and light appear more realistic, transforming the scene from an abstract historical setting into a lived space where people endure suffering. One of the most powerful effects of color is humanization. Color makes faces more recognizable and relatable. The viewer no longer sees only a victim, but a person, someone who could exist in today's world. Eye color, hair tone, and subtle difference in skin create individuality, directly challenging the anonymity imposed by the mass violence. Each person appears less like a perfect character and more like a single individual with its own story. Color also intensifies emotional response. Where black and white may encourage quiet reflection, color often provokes discomfort, empathy, and even shock. The viewer is forced to comfort suffering without the protective filter of grayscale. The pain feels closer, more personal, and harder to ignore. Importantly, color reveals what it was always there. It removes the abstraction that time and monochrome imaginary have created, allowing viewers to see the reality more clearly. At the same time, the use of color raises ethical questions. Critics argue that colorization risks altering historical truth or imposing a modern perspective on the past suffering. These concerns are valid and must be taken seriously. Color must be applied carefully, accurately, and respectfully. Color offers an additional way of saying, one that speaks more directly to contemporary audiences who are visually accustomed to color imaginary. Colorized images can be especially powerful for younger generations. In a world dominated by color media, black and white photographs may feel distant or unreal. Color helps bridge this gap, making history more accessible emotionally while still preserving its seriousness and gravity. To sum up, black and white and color do not compete with one another, they complement each other. Black and white allows us to approach the past with respect and attention. It holds the gravity of events, the distance that makes reflection possible, and the sense of loss that cannot be erased. Color, on the other hand, draws us closer, reminding us that these people who lived through these times were not frozen figures in the past, but human beings with lives, emotion, and moments of everyday reality.